You started? Okay.
That's what I found the other day. If you guys just want to know, because they said that.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the office hours here at Oregon Public Defense Commission. We apologize for being a little bit tardy today. We were having a data and IT meeting with OJD, so apologies for us being a little bit tardy. So thank you for joining us in March. March will be our last office hours in reference to caseload reporting. But we will continue office hours through the rest of the year with every month having a different topic. At least that's my goal anyway. In the room here at OPDC is our data and research team, along with all of our program analysts and our communications specialist officer who's joining our group today. So welcome to everyone. Just a reminder, these meetings are recorded. So anything you say verbally and anything that's placed in the chat is recorded and is subject to public records law, and the recording will be posted on our website next to the meeting date. And for those of you that I have not met, sorry for the late introduction. My name's Kim Freeman. I'm the CAP manager, and CAP is Compliance, Audit, and Performance. So we really have an agenda that's very open to this group. This is your opportunity to ask us questions that are general, not specific to your caseload reporting. If it's something specific, we would ask that you reach out to your program analyst and have those very specific, detailed conversations with them offline here. We do know that there's some reporting areas around, disposition codes or specialty court codes, but really this is your opportunity to ask the wealth of knowledge that's located in this room today, any questions that you may have. Sarah.
I was logging on to see if it has been determined yet what the new unclassified misdemeanors will be, as far as will they be ahead of A misdemeanors or lower than A misdemeanors or lower than C misdemeanors?
Data team? Do we know?
Is this the drug recriminalization?
Yeah.
Does this matter for reporting purposes? All misdemeanors are lumped into one category?
But we are instructed to pick the highest misdemeanor on the charging instrument. So if they are higher than A misdemeanors, then it matters. If they are not, then it doesn't matter.
I think, Sarah, this is Shelley from the data team. I think I don't think we have an answer to your question, obviously. I think for these recriminalization of possession cases, we're going to want to make sure that the ORS is properly noted in the ORS column so we can track these cases. But as far as the ranking, don't know yet. And hopefully we can follow you on that soon.
Okay, it sounds like maybe if you want to track them, they should be the ones we choose out of all misdemeanors for you to track, but we will wait for further instructions.
Yeah, I think the agency needs to make a formal decision on that and communicate that out clearly. Great question, though. Thank you.
And Megan's correct that all misdemeanors have the same weight in the end, but still important to track.
Do we have some other questions or comments? Is it Peter? Sorry, I can't. Yeah. Peter.
Yes. Hello, thanks. Peter Duell, I'm with the Bend Attorney Group. I have a couple of general questions about reporting in juvenile dependency cases. First question is, how do we report when there's a dependency case that's already gone to disposition, jurisdiction has been established, and then an amended petition is filed with totally new allegations and is set for contested hearing? Does that become a new case credit type of case or something else? And how is that reported?
I think this question, this is Shelley again. I think this question came up last month during the PCRP office hours. Elena, did you respond to was that something that you were responding to, or is that still an outstanding question that we have to follow up on?
Delinquency, or I think he's,
Dependency.
no, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think it was delinquency matter.
I think, and I don't know if Shannon's on the call or not, this was noted that it's, I believe this is a change in the court business rules, and that we were going to reach out to OJD to understand that if this is a new business process or how they're entering their data. And again, this is another great question, and we're gonna have to follow up in writing, Peter. I believe the intent is for you to claim the additional petition because it could be new allegations, et cetera. Is that correct? It's an amended petition, new allegations, different set of legal facts to go through. And so I believe the intent is for you to be able to claim that as a new case, at least on the PCRP side it was. So I think it would be the same for juvenile. I reserve the right to be wrong, so please don't quote me. And we'll note your question and follow up in writing to that.
So would that get a separate entry line as a new case, but it has the same case number because it's an amended petition?
Correct, but the appointment date would most likely have to be the date the new petition was filed.
Okay, and
Yeah.
we'll expect to get some ongoing clarification, hopefully, in the future. Another question is, this actually relates to how our courts do our delinquency orders. Oftentimes, there'll be a admission, and the offense will be set over for a dispositional hearing. Needing a little guidance as to how best to report in terms of the issue of disposition. Do we report it as of the admission date where adjudication occurs on the offense, or do we report it when the order is issued and signed for the disposition of the case?
I'm skimming the caseload and workload manual that's on our website.
And if we're gonna ask that people mute themselves, please, just so we don't have any background noise. Thank you.
Peter, is your question, you have a delinquency case and then they set disposition over for a hearing? Are they going to establish disposition later?
Yeah, our courts treat the case as adjudicated at the point of the admission of the juvenile youth, and then oftentimes set over for another dispositional date. So they issue a preliminary minute order reflecting the admission of the youth, which changes the status of the case from pre-adjudication to post-adjudication, I believe, but then could be 2 weeks or a month later, they do the dispositional hearing and order, which places the youth on probation. So I think my question is, which date should we be using in terms of reference to when the disposition takes place for purposes of caseload reporting?
If somebody, okay, I will look in the manual. I think there's specific guidance on that. And of course, since we're on a live recording, I can't put my fingers on it because I feel like I'm on.
Can you update the first one and then once the dispositional hearing, update the disposition info?
Yeah. So his question is, I don't know if it's different from dependency to delinquency cases for the post adjudication. And he's asking, once it's adjudicated, you could use the adjudication disposition code, but then continue to report that on your caseload as an open case. And then if they get continuation for a probation violation review hearings, you can use CONT, I believe. But Peter, I will follow up with you personally and understand the scenarios and put something in writing and get that to you. And I'm sorry, I can't give you a definitive pre-baked, wrapped up answer today.
Sure, and your comments also well taken, how that relates to dependency cases when the admissions and the jurisdictions established on one date, then the disposition has a subsequent separate date, and how long we keep those. Well, I'll withdraw that question. I think my primary issue has to do with the delinquency cases.
Okay. Okay. Well,
I do.
Peter.
I do have one other. It's related to that question. I guess I will go back to the dependency cases and the reporting. This has to do again with a situation on amended petitions that add an allegation, maintain the same court case numbers, but because of that amended petition, there's a subsequent judgment in the case. This is probably, again, the same question as I started off with, that we discussed about how we handle those amended petitions that allege new allegations, have separate jurisdictional proceedings, and then a subsequent judgment.
Right, and I think our agency needs to formally address that. Yes, that would be a communication between you and Shannon. We had noted at our last PCRP office hours that this issue got brought up there. And we did say that we would reach out to OJD to understand their business practices and then how that applies to our contracting and monthly reporting. So again, sorry to sound like a broken record, we'll follow up with a formal communication on that.
My impression or understanding at this point, until further clarification, we could treat that subsequent judgment, put it on a separate line on our caseload reporting, reflecting the amended petition filing date, and then the subsequent judgment that that resolve that allegation on the amended petition and report those on separate lines from the case on our open caseload reports instead of substituting the new dates for the open caseload reporting on the same case.
Well, let me remind you that in order to get case weight, your appointment date has to match the report month. So on the Nintex form, when you say I'm submitting my January report for 2024, all appointment dates listed for between January 1 and January 31 of 2024, those cases are flagged as new appointments and case weight is applied to those records. So that's why I was suggesting that we explore that that your appointment date becomes the new date that the amended petition or a new petition is filed.
So again, question whether we just utilize one line on the caseload report and substitute the appointment date from the prior appointment date to update. However, we don't get a new appointment. The appointment date reverts back to the original appointment on the case. We just are dealing with new allegations and a whole new jurisdictional process, which I assume we should be getting a new case credit because of the additional work on the case.
I think that's correct. And again, I need to verify with Shannon Flowers. Oh, there she is. She has appeared. I said her name and here she is. I think that's just something that Shannon, I don't know how much you've heard or.
Yeah.
I've been here the whole time. I've been looking to see, so Peter, I would say I generally agree with you. I want to make sure that I've been trying to look and see what have we told people previously to make sure that we're being consistent. So I think we will need to follow up with you. Because you're not the only person who has encountered this issue, and I'm sure that we have given somebody an answer at some point previously. So we'll follow up to confirm, but your point is well taken. I mean, it's in very many respects like a new case. So from that perspective, I think we probably would give it additional weight, but I just can't remember if we had people counting that as an additional, like a new case on their caseload report, or is it something that would go through the extraordinary case circumstances process? So we just need to double check and make sure so that we make sure that we're being consistent for everybody. So we will follow up with you.
Yeah, I had forgotten, Shannon. Thanks for the clarification about the extraordinary case credit process. However, it's sort of a different issue from normally how we apply that. All right, thanks. Appreciate the discussion.
Peter, I looked through the manual and for your question on the disposition codes. So the manual says cases involving partial dispositions. No disposition is reported until a disposition event that terminates counsel's representation. So does that answer your question?
I'll have to think about that. I'm not sure it does, but.
Okay, well, mull it over and then let us know.
Thanks.
Thank you, Peter. Dawn, thank you for waiting while I've been talking through this.
Sure. My question was about the timeline for the incentives for early reporting. My ED sent me something about a month ago with a draft about that, but then I never heard anything beyond that.
So Dawn, this is Kim Freeman. I can speak to that. So that was the draft policy that was presented to the commission on the February 6th or 7th meeting. We will be presenting another draft policy to the commission at the March meeting. So when the commission materials will be posted, they will be on the website for providers to review.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. And for the questions being asked today, we are keeping track of all the questions that we received today and in the past, and we'll make sure that we communicate those out as well. So, thank you. Peter, do you have another question?
This is easier. Just an update on the status of the dashboard, the public side.
Sure, we actually are still working internally on that. We received a lot of great feedback, so thank you to everyone that provided comment. And a lot of the comments we heard is everyone would love to see that dashboard, see their information only. That poses a little bit of an internal challenge for OPDC on how we would set that up. And so that is on our to-do list. We have a new CIO, a Chief Information Officer, who joined OPDC on last week. I think that, yeah, the 27th of February. So it is on my to-do list. I know it's on the data and research team to follow up with the new CIO once he has a few weeks to kind of get his feet under him here at the agency and see what we can do to accommodate that request. So it's still prevalent with us, and just more information to come on that. Thank you for bringing that back up. Anything from the analysts that want to share with anyone? No? Oh, someone just raised their hand. Is it Chad? Oh, Chad.
Yeah, that was me. Chad at WireJ. I just had a quick question on the incentive program. I was curious if it rolls out as it currently is stated in the draft policy, if you were to submit a report and it was within that timeline, meeting it by the 5th, but you, after that, like a couple weeks or a week after, you had to make a correction, either with like case credits or like some sort of correction, resubmit, is your original submission counted towards the incentive, or does that kind of nullify if there was errors that had to be corrected?
Well, let's see. I'll just, I guess, put the cat out of the bag. The policies, the two policies that are being presented are not tied to early reporting. So the reports would still be due on the 20th.
Oh, I see. So as it currently stands.
Yeah, as it currently is,
No
yeah.
penalty for being early.
Yeah, there's no penalty for being early, but we heard from providers based on lots of public comments and along with our listening session in February, that having early reporting date of the 5th would cause some significant hardship to some of our providers. If they were required to put a report in, it may be full of errors, and that's the last thing that we want our providers to provide, nor does OPDC want a bunch of errors that have to be corrected later in reporting. So, at this point, the 20th is still the report due date. Of course, we would love reports sooner than that, but it is not a requirement.
I see. Thanks for the update. And so I don't know if you can say more at this point, but I'm hearing, is there no incentive program at all then, or is it just being?
No, we have the $9.9 million as a retention and incentive policy that will be coming to the commission for their approval at the March meeting. So we took all the feedback and have created additional information for the commission to review.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. While we're waiting to see if there's any other questions, What type of other office hours or feedback or listening sessions would be beneficial to you, our providers? Just to, you know, provide input to the OPDC team around that.
I can give some examples.
So Megan asked for examples. So what I'm thinking for April is to have a conversation around our PAE, so our pre-authorized expense policy, the routine expense policy, and the schedule of guidelines. We, you know, revised that policy for the first time in 4 years at the end of December. It was approved by the commission, knowing that this is definitely a work in progress policy. And we have taken input from providers and internal staff, especially our accounts payable team and the PAE team. And so we will have some updates at the March commission meeting to present and seek approval from the commission, also knowing that we'll be coming back in June again. So that's one example. Another example could be having a legislative update on, you know, just what transpired in the short session. We could, I'm sorry.
Accounts payable.
We could have our accounts payable team and even our PAE, or formerly known as the CSS team, available, just, you know, to help with invoicing or processing. We have a new communications person who joined our team. You know, we could talk about just how is a great way to communicate OPDC information out to providers. How do you like that best? Is it an email blast once a month, or is it, you know, posting some videos on our website? I mean, I think there's a lot of different ways that we can communicate information out. I don't know. Those are just some things off the top of my head. So,
You got it. Sounds good on the PA policy.
okay.
So
Okay, great. And is there a time that's best, right? For these office hours, we've tried to ensure we've had one during the lunch hour time, because we've heard that works best for a lot of people. And then we've also done them in the afternoon. So if there's a time preference, that would be great too. And I see Dawn has a hand.
Yeah, I might just have another question. Some of what you were talking about made me remember this. Can you tell me the process to request co-counsel credit?
Mm.
We
Great
were
question.
asking David Hayes, and I know
Okay.
that he's moved somewhere else, so.
Dawn, this is Shelley. So co-counsel, it's a given for murder and J-law cases.
murder one.
Murder
Yeah.
one and J-law cases. Beyond that, I believe the manual asks you to request that either to a deputy. Hold on, let me see if I
Mhm.
can't do a search and find here.
That's what we've discussed, Shelley, is that those requests go to the deputy, and requests for associate counsel go through the PAE, but then will likely be routed to a deputy. Shannon's nodding.
Shannon's nodding.
Mhm.
We have the Shannon nod.
We have the Shannon nod.
I will just say those don't need to go through the PAE. A request for associate counsel would, if somebody's seeking co-counsel as a discretionary matter, they would direct that to the resource counsel for their jurisdiction.
Both co-counsel and associate counsel, is that what you're saying, Shannon, or just?
Nope,
co-counsel?
associate counsel goes to PAE.
Okay.
Co-counsel request, so if it's discretionary, that would go to the resource counsel for the jurisdiction.
And where would they find out who their resource counsel is?
Sorry.
Reach out to your analyst.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. That is the answer. When in doubt, reach out to your analyst.
We did send out a map to everybody in the analyst update that we sent a few weeks ago. So if you are under contract, then your administrator likely received a map that will lay out who the deputy is or the resource council. If you are not on contract, then you can reach out to whichever analyst you have contact with or have in the past, and then we can send you that map as well. I believe we're working on getting it on our website, but in the interim, you could reach out to an analyst.
Dawn,
Yeah.
on the co-counsel, question, the current, workload manual on the website, page 72, does list the criteria for discretionary appointment of co-counsel. So there's just a couple things there that you might want to look at.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
And Dawn, Christine put that she is your resource council, so.
Yep, I saw that. Thank you. Thanks,
Of course.
Christine.
We're about 30 minutes in. I'm not here to keep everyone for an hour, so I guess I'll give it like one more minute if there's any other further questions or comments from the group that's attending today. Again, we'd love to hear them. If not, I will give everyone back the gift of about 30 minutes and can have some lunch or have take a breath before your next meeting. And I know it's sunny here in Salem. Maybe get outside and enjoy some sunshine.
I will say, if you think of a topic after we get off here that you would like to have us talk about it at one of these office hour meetings, you could email your analyst and let them know if there's something you want to hear more about.
I would say topic, and if you could put a time of day that works best too, because we want to try to be as flexible as possible to get, to ensure that we have great participation and it's valued. Your time is valuable too, and so we want to make sure we acknowledge that as well. And just a reminder, the meeting, once we are completed today, the recording will be processed and it will be placed on our website with the meeting date next to the meeting date today. So March 6th, the recording will be listed there for future reference, or if you need to share it with one of your teammates or someone that you know that was not able to attend. And all the recordings from January and February's office hours are also listed there too. And we will follow up with all the questions received to ensure that we respond to everyone as well. Okay, I'm going to take silence as we are done today. And I want to thank you all again for your time and your questions. And we will have our next office hour meeting on is next week. PCRP is next week. Sorry, I thought I had that date written down. So
13th.
The 13th. Perfect. Again, thank you and enjoy your afternoon.
You need to stop the recording before you leave. Did you?
No.